Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Review Podcast number 17. This week it's only myself, Lee Davis, and I'm feeling pretty good. And Gregory Moffat, how are you today?
Pretty good, although looking down through our podcast outline today, everything's pretty much negative, so strap yourself in.
And the news is looking rather sparse as well this week again, Greg.
Very sparse, very sparse.
And as you can tell, Darren is not here, our regular host. He's had to, well, he's a little busy and preoccupied at the moment with, Greg, do you want to tell him why?
Well, he's having to sort some stuff out at home because he's had a baby or something like.
Do we know the name yet?
Do we know the gender yet?
Not a boy? Didn't he say it was a boy? I might be jumping the gun there. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I don't know the name yet, but yeah, congratulations, Darren.
Well done, Darren. Keep up the good work. If he was mentioning on Twitter, this is going to be a long intro. He was mentioning on Twitter that I've got player 3 for Mario Kart, so he's got one more to go. Yeah.
Yeah, clearly his partner doesn't count then.
We're going to carry on now with the news. So our first bit of news is about Dragon Quest, the series, and Yosuke Saito has mentioned that he's interested in bringing Dragon Quest X to the West. He said that if it did come to the West, because I don't know if you know, Greg, but Dragon Quest X is an online, what they call an MMORPG, massively multiplayer online role-playing game, and it only came out in Japan only. So they're talking about doing an offline version of this just for the West to introduce it to new customers. Are you a big Dragon Quest player? I believe you played number 8 recently on the 3DS, is that right?
I have number 8. I haven't played it yet. Well, apart from maybe like the first hour just to check it out. I do plan on finishing that, but MMOs, I don't think I've ever played one because they don't really appeal to me that much. So I'm sort of wondering how an offline version of something like that's going to work. Yeah,
unless they kind of... Does it need toning down? But yeah, if it was completely offline, as in nobody, and you're stuck there only in your house, that would be rather boring and repetitive by the sounds of it. But whether or not you can connect to friends online only, instead of having everybody around the world, would you ever consider Dragon Quest X?
I can't even picture what it looks like. I honestly have no idea about it.
Well, I had a quick look at the pictures, and we've been spoiled now with Dragon Quest XI, and there's obviously that's going to be coming to the Switch, and it's looking, well, we haven't even seen pictures, but it's looking as if it's going to have extra content and everything like that. I question the validity of bringing Dragon Quest X to the Switch when people are just going to bypass it for when 11 comes out. Very strange decision.
Yeah, I suppose it kind of depends what order they bring it out in. Like, if they bring out 11 first and like everybody's hungry for more Dragon Quest, then maybe they can sort of win off that.
I'd rather if they just brought out like 7 and 8 that were already on, or just bring out a whole Dragon Quest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a bundle, and just stick them all on the Switch, just like they've done with Capcom have done with some of their games. That'd be nice as well.
Yeah, that'll be some serious time investment.
Yeah. And probably one I won't even pick up.
Yeah.
Our next piece of news is continuing on our Telltale Games woes, which picked up last week when Skybound, which is the company who owns the rights to the magazines as well, they publish the magazines like The Walking Dead and other Robert Kirkman novels. Skybound Games, Dan Murray is one of the presidents there. He has stated things that we already knew, saying that, we're going to carry on and finish off the final season, episodes 3 and 4. They'll be coming to your Switch. But people have quizzed him then about whether or not Season 2 and Season 3, which had been mentioned before coming to Switch, because with Telltale Games going under, it's all up in the air. Well, he said they will be coming. For me, personally, this is some good news, because I'm still waiting for a sale, but I'm looking forward to picking up the Season 1 of The Walking Dead. And he's told fans, I suppose I would be a fan, to stay tuned in the future, and pretty soon as well, because Season 2 and Season 3 should be coming out before the end of the year. Now, I know your interest in this, Greg, is very little.
But, like, it a good thing for something to get finished. Like I sort of had in some ways I had it a wee bit with Shenmue, because obviously we had 1 and 2 back on the Dreamcast, but the story wasn't finished. So like they're finally bringing out Shenmue 3. Like I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I suppose the time difference between the Dreamcast 1 and now, like part of my interest is kind of waned a wee bit in actually finishing the story, and the fact that it's only on the PlayStation, it's like it's not going to be in the Switch, so I'm not really sure where I stand with that. But like the Telltale games, like for fans of it, that's going to be good news.
Yeah, they seem solid games, and I can't wait to wait for a sale basically, but I can't wait to delve into The Walking Dead. Next one is, well, last week, I believe it was last week in our news section, Darren mentioned that there's going to be a Switch bundle, that is with the Switch hardware and Fortnite packed in, basically for free, but with 1,000 free V-Bucks. So it's the same price as a normal Switch, but you get Fortnite, which is free anyway. Now they've come out, and Epic Games, who are the Fortnite developers, working with the publishers Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, are bringing out on November 16th the Fortnite Deep Freeze Bundle, which includes the game itself and premium content. And what they call premium content is that kind of aesthetic stuff, like a frostbite, so it's like an outdoor ski suit, a cold front glider, so it's a chill glider, a chillax pickaxe they call it, another backpack, and you get that 1,000 V-Bucks, which will pay, I think it's 750 V-Bucks for a season pass, so it'll buy you one of those basically. And I don't know if I can say that they've got the gall, but they're going to charge £24.99 for this full retail bundle price, which seems a bit, yes, you get the cartridge, yes, you get your 1,000 V-Bucks. That seems a bit steep, doesn't it, Greg?
No, Fortnite, they're obviously doing well for themselves. They've got a free game, and they've got this model where like people will pay for certain things, and that's getting them loads of money. $24.99 for like all that stuff. Like for me personally, like I wouldn't pay it, because like I just don't care.
Plus, it's a difficult sell to me as well. It's a free game, you know. If I want to spend anything, I can go and buy my V-Bucks on the eShop already.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you go and buy the bundle. You want a new Switch? Go get the free Fortnite with the Switch bundle. Anyway, $24.99 is what it's going to cost.
I suppose at the same time you'll get these like parents and stuff going into the shops to get their children stuff for Christmas time, and they'll think, oh, my son Pierre loves Fortnite, like, and they'll see this thing, it's like, oh, maybe get that.
So are we skeptical here? Are we saying this is a cash grab by Epic Games?
Why not?
Greedy. They're pulling an EA. Anyway, good luck to them. I'm waiting for the movie to come out. Fortnite the movie.
It's coming.
Koei Tecmo. Next news section, where they have announced their income forecast for the second quarter of this fiscal year. And their income has increased exponentially, and they've got huge smiles on their faces, and it's all down to Hyrule Warriors, the definitive edition. That's obviously a Switch title, and it sold exceptionally well in the West, apparently. So Nintendo and Koei Tecmo are patting each other's on the back. They haven't sold 1 million copies yet, but for them to be so happy, it can't be too far off that.
Yeah. Did you buy it?
I didn't, no. And it was a game that came out on the Wii U first, and I was interested, and I didn't pick it up. It came out on the 3DS. I thought, no, 3DS seemed a bit off. You know, it wasn't as well established and good looking and well running as the Wii U version. And then it got announced for the Switch. It's like, right, Switch is here. This is my time. And I still haven't picked it up.
Yeah, like those Dynasty Warriors games, like I think I've only played one briefly. There's one, it's not a Dynasty Warriors game. I think there's one on the GameCube called Mystic Heroes. I think I played it briefly, and just the relentless hordes of enemies just smashed through it. It got really repetitive very fast, and like that's always put me off picking up Hyrule Warriors, and I still haven't picked any of the versions of Hyrule Warriors up, or the Fire Emblem Warriors game either.
No, and looking at it today online as well on base.com, is a website I regularly look at the prices of things. It's still £45 on there. It's a little too much for what it is, you know. It's a highly repetitive game. It'll have to come down at least half price before I'd consider it, I think.
And base are really good for prices generally. So
Yeah.
for that to be that high on there, like this,
No, another one. Well, they're not getting my money. 1 million maybe next year.
we're so miserable.
What I'm not miserable about, though, is that a surprise announcement just before last week's eShop drop is that Drinkbox Studios have announced Guacamelee is out on the Switch right now. And we were talking about this on Discord, Greg, and you haven't played it, have you?
I haven't. I really do like the look of it. And I'm definitely not miserable about the news of it coming to the Switch, because I've had chances to pick it up on the Wii U before, and I haven't. I've kind of been waiting for the Switch version now. But at the same time, that game, I think, is the sort of one that goes on sale quite regularly. I've seen maybe on like the PlayStation Store and stuff. So I'm excited to play it, but I think I may as well wait, because I've got other games I'm playing at the minute. So I'll wait, and then once it drops into a sale sometime, I will absolutely jump on it.
That's fair enough. And I did review it for the Wii U for our website, Nintendo Review, and I was surprised how good it was. You know, I was just expecting this 2D platformer, but there are elements where there's a lot of fighting and moves that you do through the fighting propel you through the air, so you use those moves to platform as well. So it's linking this fighting and platforming together, and it's just so fluid, you know. And then you get into fight rooms, you know, both sides of the screen will turn purple or whatever colour, and you're tasked with, you just learnt this move, use it, and use it well, otherwise you're going to die. I can't recommend this game highly enough. If nobody ever picked it up on the Wii U, and it's at $11.99, and even before it drops in price, it's well worth that asking price.
Yeah, I have to I will say I am still tempted to pick it up at full price, and if it's as good as it seems to be, then I'm more than happy to give the money to the developers of that. But it just seems to have such a good vibe about it, you know, and all these colours and stuff. It just seems perfect for a Nintendo platform, and I don't think we've ever got this second one before.
No, and that is coming in December. They haven't given a specific date, but Guacamelee 2, they said, will follow in December. And probably because I played the first one to death on the Wii U, I probably leave that one for now. But when the second one comes out, that seems a shoe-in for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to link two pieces of news together here. And they're both about Diablo 3. And the first one was that Business Insider reported that cross-platform play is a question of when, not if. And that was words of a Blizzard higher-upper. So everybody was we'll have cross-platform play. We don't want, you know, I've talking about a game later and what we've been playing, and the problems of not having cross-platform play will enter into that game. But here, it's okay, if the user base is small for Diablo 3 on the Switch, at least we'll be having some cross-platform play with whatever, Xbox and PC. Then a couple of days later, Blizzard issued another statement saying there are no plans for cross-platform play. Tough luck. Such a back turn and such a shame.
Yeah, I didn't see the original quotes or anything, so I'm just going on the theory here that it says it's a question of when, not if, as perhaps being just in a general sense, cross-platform play will be more of a thing just in general going forward. And then it's Diablo 3, no.
Diablo 4 when that comes out.
Yeah.
Or it could be someone's, jumped the gun too soon and they're not ready to announce it, because the game isn't out until November 2nd, so we got a couple of weeks left. Anyway, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because I am interested in Diablo 3. I'm not interested in the next part, which was a couple of days ago. Nintendo revealed a new Switch bundle. So we saw all those fancy art on the Super Smash Bros. Switch bundle. Well, this is the Diablo 3 Eternal Collection Switch bundle, which has got the system and a fancy back pattern. It's got a Diablo 3 thing on the back of the Switch this time, which was missing, and we wondered why from the Smash Brothers one. But the dock has some artwork on it. It's got a download code for the game. Plus, you get a themed carrying case. Is Diablo 3 the game for you, Greg?
I don't think so. And with all the other games, it almost seems like a strange bundle option when there's so many other things that maybe be bundled. But I obviously some sort of business deal going on there.
Yeah. Just to push the interest in the game itself. Yeah, thinking of things they could do to the dock and the Switch itself. Just first party games. Splatoon 2. They could put splats all over the Switch.
Yeah.
Diablo 3 is a strange and an interesting choice, that's for sure. But next one is Famitsu, the Japanese online and publication. They do their weekly reviews of Nintendo stuff. They have finally stopped tracking the Wii U hardware sales numbers in Japan. So we can finally bury our Wii U's in the back garden. And it's reported that Famitsu say that Japan sold a massive 3,303,541 Wii U's in its lifetime. Dire.
It does sound really weak, doesn't it? I'm not really sure what you can add to that there. Like the Wii U just didn't really resonate with people.
Shame. Great console. Loved it.
Yeah, it obviously did have its shortcomings, and there's plenty of design issues with it that still frustrate me. And like, I'm absolutely petrified of something happened to my gamepad now. Like, there was a time there a few weeks ago it didn't seem to be charged, and so I thought, what am I going to do with this? Do I send it away? Because you can't just go and buy another gamepad somewhere.
I think we mentioned that you should sneak into your brother's house and swap it in stealth when he's not looking.
But thankfully it did start charging again, so we're okay there. But if something ever happens to that gamepad, I mean, like the Wii U's pretty much finished.
Yeah, and this really is the final nail in the coffin, because NPD, who accompany the group of people who track in America, they finished their Wii U tracking a long time ago. So this is the last hurrah, basically. Next news, Super Mario Party. Yay, it's super successful apparently. I think it entered in the all formats chart in number 5 in the UK. So it hasn't done too bad.
That's pretty good for the UK. Like, Nintendo games, as far as I know, like, never do that amazingly well, apart from, like the big guns maybe. And even then, they tend to drop off quite quickly, I think. It would be interesting to see
if Mario Party does drop off quickly. Hopefully, it'll pick back up steam over the Christmas period now when people are buying new Switches.
I mean, it's the perfect sort of thing. Like, family get-togethers over Christmas time, like, stick Mario Party on, have a laugh for a while.
If you do stick Mario Party on and you've got 2 Joy-Cons with your new Switch for Christmas, you might have trouble finding new Joy-Cons, because apparently, because of Super Mario Party's success, people have been stocking up on their Joy-Cons and Amazon are out of stock. I don't know if that's currently, but they have been over the last couple of days.
And we've both bought Joy-Cons recently. You bought the Super Mario Red, and like Curry's had a sale on with the neon yellow, and I've been looking at those for a while. So I picked those up as well.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I have a set of those neon yellow. They are so... The pictures don't do them justice. There's something in the retina in your eye which can see neon colours. But when you put it through a camera, the camera doesn't have that same function as your cones in the back of your eye. So you can't see the neon, and these things do glow. Beautiful.
Yeah. See, I've got like a full red set, a full blue set, and now the full neon yellow set, and I've been wanting the full green set. Obviously, they only on the Splatoon bundle they only have like the left one's green and then the right one's pink. And I was kind of hoping when Luigi's Mansion comes out, they'll maybe have a full green set. But I will say, I was in CEX the other day, actually picking up a game I'm going to talk about later on, and I seen the neon pink one sitting behind the
Just
the glass case or whatever they have. Yeah, the pink one, it actually looks stunning. Like it's such a good colour.
Partial to pink as well. A nice set of pink would be great. They do need to get on top of this and get more colours out there, don't they? Well, not just colours, but designs. They need to just... I mean, they're throwing 3DSs out all the time. Look at this Pikachu 3DS. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Surely they'd be doing this with Joy-Cons in the future.
I know. Such an easy way just to mix up the look of the system and stuff. Give everybody their own wee unique flavours whenever people are coming around. Like, oh, this is your controller and stuff.
And to do with the Joy-Cons as well, we got a bundle coming in, Super Mario Party bundle coming in Europe on November 23rd. It's quite late. Which includes, like you said, the Splatoon colour ones. The left Joy-Cons are neon green, I believe, and the right Joy-Cons are neon pink. Now, in America, they have in the bundle, it's just recently been announced via a leak on Amazon, and they're going to be having the neon green left Joy-Con and the neon yellow right Joy-Con.
That is interesting. Like, I'm still quite frustrated that whenever Splatoon came out, obviously had the green left, pink right, But like whenever the Switch came out, we obviously had the blue left and the red right one, and then they released like a wee like the extra Joy-Con bundle, the set that you would get, and it was like the red
colours.
left and the blue right, so you could have your complete set. I'm annoyed that Super Mario Party didn't do the opposite of what Splatoon did.
It is a strange one, yeah. Did you pick up, because there was the Snipper Clips was the opposite colour as well, did you pick it up in the Snipper Clips bundle, those two Joy-Cons?
Yeah, I got it because like it was actually on sale. It was just like the same price as buying the Joy-Cons normally, so I thought, yep, absolutely going with Snipper Clips here. Unfortunately, I didn't really enjoy the game that much, not as much as other people, but you have to sort of probably play it with the right people. It's one of those where it's like, I find that you get, like, you're trying to tell your other person, oh, I want you to do this here, and they're like, they don't understand what you mean. It's just like, you do it, you know?
You're holding two Joy-Cons in each hand. Next one is we talked about our ideas of what the new NES games that are coming to the Switch. There was 4 of them last week, that came, and they were NES Open Tournament Golf, Solomon's Key, and Super Dodgeball, and we chatted about those quickly. But then we quickly mentioned about Legend of Zelda SP, and we were a little bit wrong in our guesses. But basically, SP is special, and you start with a ton of rupees and some items. So you'll have equipment like the white sword, the magical shield, the blue ring, and even the power bracelet just as you start. And what's more strange about the whole thing is that all the dungeons are already open. So those hidden dungeons in bushes that needed to be set alight, which you'd never have a chance of finding unless you kind of know the game intimately, it's already there. And then when you go into the dungeon, I've heard, the dungeon's completed. Now, I'd understand having the dungeon open and ready, but why is the dungeon completed? I want to play through the dungeon, and I am obviously an old school gamer, but I've never finished Legend of Zelda. This would help me, but it looks like most of the game is already completed. Anyway, have you turned this on, Greg?
No, I haven't had the NES bit on for a good few weeks now. I did not know the dungeons were already completed. I knew you got all this stuff, and like you, I've never completed the original Legend of Zelda. I've honestly never really played it for more than about 10 or 15 minutes, like lifetime total. Because like I would always start the game, go through a few screens, and then like just die, and then I just thought, I'm not really that bothered about carrying on with this here. So having all this stuff like unlocked from the start, it was like I started thinking, maybe I will actually jump back in. Like I'm obviously like I've been playing games for ages, so I'm pretty experienced. But like people that have never played the Legend of Zelda before, and maybe younger gamers, they will find the original probably extremely difficult. So this would be a good jumping in point for them. But to have the dungeons already complete, that is taking away like nearly the whole point of playing. That's like they've taken it a wee bit just too far.
I hope I'm wrong about that, but I believe I listened to another podcast. I'm not going to say the name of the podcast, and they did say that the dungeons were completed. It's like, oh, really? I haven't checked it myself.
What is there to play then? Like,
I walk around the overworld like in Breath of the Wild, souped up power, and just kill everything on sight. Yeah, very strange. I suppose every time you go into another screen, the enemies reappear. Is that right? Yeah, so
maybe.
Maybe. So if you go in the dungeon, maybe the smaller enemies are there, and it's just the boss that's been defeated. Anyway, yeah, seems strange. So it's got me speculating on what does SP mean, and I think the next SP title, I don't think it is one of the SP titles to reach us anyway, would be Double Dragon. So we got Double Dragon as it is, and it's single player only, as it was always on the NES. And then coming probably next month, Double Dragon SP will be coming. What are they going to do for that? What do you think, Greg?
Infinite health.
With single player? Oh, I really, really hope they add a 2-player mode.
I can't see it, to be honest. I don't really know what they're going to do with it.
If it follows the same pattern as this Legend of Zelda SP, then you might be right in infinite health. But we'll see. We'll talk about it when it comes out. Alright, next one is censorship. And this is topical for our podcast because you asked me to censor something last week and I didn't. So I apologize. I apologize, Greg, and I'll censor things in the future.
The YouTube version was censored. You may have noticed.
I had a quick listen and found bits to be missing, yes. bits that should have been missing were missing. So this censorship, though, is from Zen Pinball and the Pinball FX. They've released the 4 new tables, Bally and Williams, Medieval Madness, Fishtails Junkyard. Fishtails was the free one you could download, and the Getaway. And they're recreated digitally, and they're perfect, except some of the art in the back glass and the side tables and the original playfield. They've covered up things like scantily clad ladies. They've removed the blood from swords. They've replaced beer cans with soda. And there's no smoking zones, so they've taken away cigars from the characters. There was a bit of a backlash online saying, how dare you censor old school pinball machines? Was that the right call, Greg?
I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one.
They basically, though, Zen were worried that they've got into trouble in the past, and I can imagine it's with something like The Walking Dead and gratuitous gore, because they're not selling each table individually. It's the whole package, you know?
Yeah.
So the ESRB in America and PEGI in Europe, they're going to stick a licensing, age rating on that package because they don't sell them individually in the eShop. And they were worried that by putting scantily clad ladies and blood on swords, their PG rating would increase to a 15 maybe, or a 12.
Yeah. And I mean, that's fair enough. Like, you're sort of like decreasing the amount of people you can sell to, but like at the same time, like Call of Duty will be out soon, and like all the kids will be playing that. Like. Parents just, I don't know. I haven't got to that stage yet with my son, like, because he's not even 3 yet. Like, but I imagine whenever he's that age at school, like, and all his friends are playing like the must-have title or whatever, and whatever the rating is, like, he'll probably be wanting it as well. Like, what do you do?
I put my foot down. I'm a terrible father.
See, like, I have that vision as well of like, no, you're not having it.
Yeah.
But like, if he's around at somebody else's house, they're going to be playing it and stuff. It's like,
I'm not lackadaisy, but he's been playing games that are rated 12 and when my son was 8, and I thought, right, for you, I played the game before, it seems appropriate, that's okay. And he's 12, he's playing 15 rated games. I'd never let him play an 18 rated game. And I have children coming into where I work in a bushy band cram school. They are all elementary school children, so the maximum age is 12, and they're talking about GTA 5. And I'm like, what are your parents doing? They need a slap.
What can you do?
Just shrug my shoulders and carry on teaching. Quick news drop, and I hope you're going to be playing it this weekend, Greg, and we get together and form a team. Splatoon 2 is having a Splatfest, but it's a very special one in conjunction and celebration of Halloween called Splatterween, and it's over 48 hours instead of 24. So it encompasses the whole bit of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is fantastic for me because I'm always pushed for time. My time zones over here are slightly off from what they are, and the Splatfests always start when I'm going to bed, and then it's a strange time when I'm starting, and the numbers tend to drop off when I wake up ready for a couple of games, and I can't get a meet-up. So, splatting this weekend?
I hope so. Like, I work every weekend, so the fact that there is like a good wee chunk of time there, like, I'm hoping maybe Friday night I'll be able to get some in, and probably a wee bit of Saturday morning as well, because I think I'm working Saturday night, and then Sunday morning that sort of like cuts off the whole time. Like, and I think the Splatfest usually cut off like Sunday, is it like 3 o'clock? Well, you maybe don't know.
It's about.
So I think it's around
3 o'clock in the
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yeah, and I'm not home till after 4 on Sunday, so like, yeah, it's probably gonna have to be Friday night, Saturday morning, sort of for me.
Well, if you're on Saturday morning, I might meet you online later then. Okay.
Happy days. Haven't played for ages.
I've been getting my touch back in. I've been upgrading I got my Splatfest there's a first Splatfest. I've actually got my Splatfest t-shirt maxed out. It's like, wow, I've actually played Splatoon recently.
I still don't think I've picked my side, actually. I need to get on and do that. I did have Splatoon 2 on yesterday for the first time in a while, actually, just to do one of the single player missions. Getting warmed up.
Last bit of news, and I don't know how far this will take us, but Murphy's Law, was that a game you picked up? That's talking about Splatoon 2, and then Murphy's Law did that kind of 4v4 arena battle shooting, but it had that added caveat of as you shoot someone's head, it gets smaller, yours gets bigger. Did you pick that shooting game up?
Interesting concept,
Yeah.
but no, I didn't pick it up.
No, same here. And Cosmoscope, the developers, have said that the launch wasn't really successful. And it's very difficult for players to find full games these days. You know, the online player user base is very low. And their actual quote says, "This sucks for a multiplayer game, and we're determined to fix the situation." Now, how are they going to fix it? Well, they say that you're going to get a lot more Murphy's Law for free. Please be patient, wait a while. It won't be implemented until next year at the earliest, early next year at the earliest. So we got a bit of time, but it's nice to see the developer is still giving their game some love.
Yeah, that's a tricky one for them because you can't really see how they really like capture more of an audience because like everybody's still playing Fortnite. You've got Call of Duty coming out. Is there a new Battlefield coming out this year? Yeah, but I mean Call of Duty, like it's all quite a lot about Battle Royale and stuff this year, so I'm not really sure where they find their wee niche with this one.
I know, and even that niche, because it looks more of a fast-paced shooter. That other game, what's the game? Paladins. That covers that itch as well, and that's a free-to-download game, and I've enjoyed playing that. And obviously Splatoon 2.
Yeah, Nintendo platforms, like generally, like they're never that big on shooters. Like they mostly come out in like the Xbox and PlayStation, so like there could have been a wee window there, but like you say, there's Paladins and of course Splatoon's here now, like which obviously a pretty recent franchise, but that sort of covers up that multiplayer shooting thing too, so I can't see it really getting much better for them.
No, I can't at all. You can throw all the content you wanted at Cosmoscope. Think about your next project. And that's the news. Next, we're going to be talking about what we've been playing. And Greg, what have you been playing?
It's a bit of a random one this week. This one that was actually triggered a wee bit from the wee pub style quiz we done a couple of weeks ago. And one of the question was about what was the subtitle to Bully on the Wii, and it was Scholarship Edition. And I've never played Bully before, and like I'd heard it was supposed to be really good. And I just happened to be in CEX one day, and I seen it there for £3. Didn't pick it up, but was in again the next day, and thought, right, I'm gonna pick this up this time and see what all the fuss is about, because obviously like Rockstar haven't really supported Nintendo that much in the past, but we've got the odd wee game. So let's jump in and see what it's all about. And straight away, it just had that typical Rockstar flavour. It's like...
what does that taste like?
Deceit is what it tastes like. Now, my history with Rockstar, like I haven't played that many of the games. I played, like a few years ago there, I played Grand Theft Auto 3 finally on the PS2, and like I beat it and it was fine. I don't think it was as amazing as everybody made it out to be. Maybe it was a bigger thing at the time. Like I know I had friends that had it and they spent quite a lot of time just mucking about in the overworld, and I'm sort of like, just get on with the missions, let me see what the story and all's about. But apart from that, I played another Grand Theft Auto game. It was Chinatown Wars on the DS.
I played that one myself. I enjoyed that. Yeah,
again, I thought it was okay. Nothing absolutely incredible. But anyway, Bully, that Rockstar flavour... Well, we'll go to the story first. Like, it's basically like you've got a character. I can't even remember what his full name is. It's Jimmy or something, and he's been kicked out of and expelled from like loads of schools. And here he is. Like his parents are bringing him down to, I think it's Bulworth Academy. So he's your protagonist for the game, and I suppose it comes with a wee bit of reputation. The first sort of chapter is sort of about you meeting new characters and stuff, and like doing wee tasks for them. It's sort of in typical Rockstar open world fashion. Like you're following a marker on a map, so like you'll go to find someone on the map. It's usually like a wee yellow X, and you'll get your mission that you need to carry out, your objective, and you'll have to follow another marker to go to a different section of the map to carry out whatever the task is. It might be something like you have to go and beat somebody up, or like just retrieve some items for people, in which case you would have to go back to the original location again to
hand them over.
Yeah, and it's just, or I need you to find like these 5 sheets of paper or something that I've lost with like, I don't know, music or something on it. So you're just going retrieving all those and then bringing them back to the person that wanted it. It's just, and like everything's just marked out, and like it tells you constantly just what to do, where to go, and it's so hand holding in a way. And it's like these games, I find like Rockstar games, like obviously you have you have this big freedom in the open world and stuff to do whatever you want, and I suppose in some ways it's there, but then the missions kick in and it's just like, go here, do exactly this, and like the missions just aren't fun at all, and I don't feel like the game does anything well. Like the combat doesn't feel good. Just generally walking around just feels fine, like, but it's not like smooth and fluid or anything, and like the aiming is awful. Like you get like a wee slingshot early on and have to like take out some people, or like I think the first thing you do with it is just like shoot windows in a bus just to sort of get you used to like the aim and stuff, and like it feels awful. Like I don't know how hard it is just to get like the Wii remote just to point it at the screen and have that like you just shoot where you point. It doesn't really work like that.
There's no like, pointer controls, or the pointer controls are just messed up.
They just feel awful. It's like I'm not even sure if it uses the actual like pointer properly. It's like it feels like there's a wee bit of a delay when you're moving and stuff.
Could be that they've used the gyro or something instead of the pointer, and then
in some way, but then like if you're not pointing at the screen, it tells you to point at the screen. So I'm not sure what way they've worked it, because how difficult is it just to point at the sensor bar and like your wee icons, cursors up on the screen? I mean, like Wii Play and stuff showed you how to do it, like the Wii menus. It feels absolutely shocking. Like some of the button combinations to do things just don't feel good. Like when you're fighting, like you're using like the Wii remote to like punch with the right hand and like the nunchuck to punch with the left. I mean, that sounds fine in practice, but it doesn't feel satisfying in any way. And like you'll get combinations like to do like uppercuts, you'll have to like hold B and like flick the nunchuck.
Is that because they basically tacked those moves on to an already existing move set and it just doesn't sit right? Probably
because like obviously originally it was a PS2 game, but you'll have like other things like in Grand Theft Auto and stuff, you know, the way like you'll hold like the X button or something to run. Well, in this here, like you hold the A button on the Wii remote to run, or like you tap it to start sprinting quicker. It's just it's not something that feels enjoyable to be like tapping the button all the time just to like chase people down and stuff. But anyway, like you'll get all your missions and like nothing feels particularly amazing. Like almost like I find it the same with Grand Theft Auto, kind of it's like a jack of all trades but master of none kind of. It's like none of these feel satisfying, and you'll have classes that will appear. Like you've got your clock up in the corner. I don't know if there's any sort of timetable in the game. I haven't found it, but like you'll find a wee marker on the map appear whenever your class time is on. So it's maybe like you've got like biology or something between like 9 and 11 or something, so you might be out doing a wee objective for somebody, and all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, it's class time. So either you can like just forget about the wee mission you're doing at the minute and go to class, or you can like carry on and maybe miss class, where if you go to the class and do like the wee task that's in it and get a pass, then you'll be rewarded with something. So you're sort of caught between like what you want to do there, but if you're doing your mission and like somebody catches you out of class, they will drag you to class anyway. So I know sometimes it can be frustrating when you're trying to get a mission done. It's like, I have to go and do this now.
So if you go into the class, does your mission cancel, or can you carry on your mission after class?
I think you have to just restart the mission again.
Yeah, okay. Annoying.
I think so anyway. And like some of the missions are timed, like you have to do things in like a certain amount of time. Like you'll have like around the clock there'll be like a big red ring that you'll see like counting down, as you obviously only have a certain amount of time to get the thing done. But the classes are where I thought I would actually find the most interest, because like if you go into like a class and it's like it's your music class, for example, you'll have like a sort of wee rhythm game to play. So you'll have like markers coming down the screen and you just have to like waggle the remote and nunchuck to the beat. But it's not like it's not gonna beat like Taiko Drum Master or anything. Like it's not that fleshed out or anything. It's very, very basic. Or you'll get like your biology class where it's almost like, have you ever played Trauma Center?
Yeah, on the DS, yes. Yeah,
I absolutely love that game. It's
brilliant
like a
stuff.
very, very basic version of that, kind of where you're like dissecting animals, you know, so you'll like cut them open and like you have to like pin down their certain pieces and like use your scalpel to cut bits out, and then like your forceps or whatever to lift them out. But every single thing you do in that in those dissections it tells you exactly what to do every time. It's like it's got X's on the parts of the animal. It's like, okay, you put your pins here, so you grab the pins, put them there, and then it tells you to grab like the scalpel and cut it out, and it's all marked out. It just tells you, it goes through absolutely every single bit that you need to do, and it's like
a join the dots puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just like, the game so far, I don't know if it gets better the further you get in, but it tells you absolutely everything you need to do, and you're just like, it's like you're playing with a guide, and it's just so frustrating. And all these classes, like, nothing has felt particularly good. They kind of feel like just really like cheap versions, like you know the way like on the way you had lots of like shovelware, just like these really like cheap versions of like better games and stuff. It kind of feels like these are all like really, really basic cheap versions of just different games crammed into this like school. It's just so mediocre, and like the reviews of it, like quite a lot of Rockstar games, like the reviews were all really good and like praising all this stuff, and it's just like I'm perplexed by like how much of like the jank and just like the mundanity, is that even a word, like how mundane like the tasks are, and just like how they seem to get like a pass because all like the world and the characters are all like amazing and stuff. And I gotta be honest, like the characters haven't really been that special to me in this here either. I kind of find like you'll have your thing where you might go and get your objective from somebody, and like you might have to escort somebody to a certain place, and like you'll beat up some people. A lot of people want to fight in this game for some reason. They just come up from nowhere. School wasn't really like that for me. Like you had obviously people that didn't like each other, but it wasn't every couple of steps somebody's wanting to come and beat you up. So you'll be going along with somebody, and it's like your characters they'll have their banter between each other, and it's just like they have this big section where you're having to like go between the missions. It's like they've made it this long just so they can get these characters talking, just to get you sort of absorbed in the world. And it's like, I just don't care what they're talking about. It's just nonsense most of the time. I suppose some people will care about that. I'll help them get absorbed in the world, or like the characters, or like obviously give these people a bit of character. But to me it's just like, just let me go and do whatever it is I need to do, or give me a wee bit of freedom here. It's just like, I don't care what the characters are doing or saying. And a lot of the humour and stuff is quite childish, I would say. Like I need to get here before I like wet myself or something, you know. It's like you have to do a certain mission, like you have to get into a toilet in time or something, and it's just like, the game's rated at 15, but like anybody below 15, that's probably the only people that are going to actually get any sort of kick out of the humour. It just does not work for me at all, and like it's hard for me not to be negative about this here, but like I just can't see how this game got such great reviews.
But you know, the open world, you know, you mentioned other GTA games. The open worlds are vast, and then you can go off and do whatever you want. Bully is on a school campus. The open world's got to be pretty small. Is that right?
It's definitely a lot smaller. Like there's most of what I've done so far has been on the school campus, but you can like branch out a wee bit and go to like there's a mission I done yesterday. I had to go to a carnival on a date with a girl, and you just did a few of the wee things like there's like, you know, the one where you have to like use the hammer to like bash the thing to go up and try and hit a bell at the top or whatever, and just like throwing things at I'm not even sure, like just wee things that go across the screen. You have to like throw balls at them to knock them down. All very simple basic things with
janky controls.
Yeah, generally just if the gameplay was better, like you might have a game here. But like nothing you do and it feels particularly good, and it's just telling you what to do all the time, and I just don't really know what I can say more positive about it than that.
No, you're being honest, Greg. That's a great thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, like Grand Theft Auto 5 or whatever, that's like one of the biggest selling games ever, if not the biggest selling game, and I suppose Grand Theft Auto 5 Online probably has quite a bit to do with that there. I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5, but if it's going by any of their previous games, it's like a lot of the problems just seem to be overlooked just because there's this big vast open world and the characters are all so funny and you can do all these different things, but none of these things you can do in this game like you can do particularly well, so you can keep it.
I've always thought if Grand Theft Auto 5 did come to the Switch, I'd pick it up, and I probably won't play it much. Yeah.
Likewise, I actually think I maybe still would get Grand Theft Auto 5, but I'm less sure of that now.
It doesn't look like it's coming anyway.
Yeah, and I will say, like, the graphics, like, obviously it's a PS2 game that was ported to the Wii, but it still looks pretty rubbish.
Did they do anything to up-res the, they didn't touch the graphics up in any way?
It doesn't really look like it to me. And, like, it's like, it's not full widescreen or anything. Like, you will have, like, wee borders down the left and right side, but even when I'm playing it that way, it kind of feels a wee bit squashed up in some way. The characters look a tiny wee bit stretched a certain way. I'm not sure if that is the case, but it just looks that way to me when I'm playing. It just, something doesn't feel quite right, and like, I have kind of adjusted to it a wee bit, but it just doesn't look quite right.
Anyway, that's pretty damning, Greg. Pretty damning.
That's me.
Well, I'm going to be far more positive for the most part anyway. I reviewed Armello, which is a digital board game. And before I even start talking about it, I'm going to say it's a really, really good digital board game. I do like board games. We spoke with Darren very quickly about a board game I like to play with my son called Forbidden Island, and how interactive it is, even as just, moving your pieces in real life. Well, this board game starts you off. It's very, very, very deep mechanics in it. So you're going to have to take it nice and steady to learn a lot of what goes on. And fortunately, the tutorial will take you about an hour, I reckon, to play through. And it's 6 parts to the tutorial. First part is this beautifully animated cutscene, basically showing you the opening to the world and the different characters within the world. And the first thing you'll note is that the characters are all animal based. So they're anthropomorphic animals, all walking on 2 legs. You've got the king, who's a lion. You've got the wolf clan. They're all these clans, so there's these groups of clans that work together. You've got the wolf clan, you've got the rabbit clan, you've got the bear clan, and the rat clan. And you're introduced to all these 4 clans and the king and what's going on in the world. Doesn't tell you much about it, just shows you who they are. Then you start the next 4 parts of the tutorial, and each part of the tutorial is with 1 clan. And each part of the tutorial introduces new game mechanics every time, and it builds upon it. So to the end of each single stage of the tutorial, you've had a basic introduction to it and you feel comfortable. It's a very, very good introduction to the game. Like, the first part will teach you movement and combat. So how to move around the board, how to fight. Then they'll teach you about the cards, because it's not only just about moving around, but combat's about rolling dice. Cards are about magic and perils and traps. And then there are things like politics to take into consideration as well. And then there's magic, which are done through cards, but other things as well. So once you've done through the tutorial, you've done your hour, you're treated to another cutscene to open the game up. This is what's happened to the king. And what's happened to the king? He's been corrupted by this thing called the rot. So the king is plunged into this pit of despair, and the animation, not just the animation in the cutscenes, but the animation in the game as well is all fully 3D. You're looking at the game board from an isometric top-down 45-degree angle. It's beautiful animation, and the king is getting bouts of anger, and this rot is killing him slowly, which pushes the kind of game to 9 full day cycles. So each turn that you takes half a day. So the days are split into day and night. And then after 1 day and night, you get the full day cycle. The king drops to his knees in this elaborately animated scene, and he loses one of his 9 hearts. At the end of 9 days, he's going to die. That will happen every single time you play it. But there are ways, well, if you let the whole game go out for that 9 days, you could be playing for, I reckon, a maximum of about an hour and a half for one game. You do have ways of making the game shorter. For example, assassinating the king. And why do you want to kill the king? Well, you want to become the king yourself. So each of these clans has their own agenda to either assassinate the king or slowly influence the king, so when he dies naturally, you'll become the next in line through earning something called prestige and being the prestige leader. which favours clans over other clans. For example, the wolf clan are better at combat, so it's better to brave the centrally located castle and kill the king. But the rabbit clan, who lack that kind of buff of stamina and strength, they are more likely to be successful by becoming a prestige leader and influencing the king in some way. So before you even start the game, you choose your clan, and each clan has 2 playable characters. You choose your character that you want. Each character has their strengths and weaknesses within the clan, which is another thing to learn, but your best way to learn is by actually playing it. So the board itself is this beautiful 3D environment with the castle in the center. The king is always in the central most hexagonal square. He's got 4 squares around him, which are his castle, and the castle walls surrounding him. Now, if you want to get into the castle, you're going to have to get over things like perils, but I'll talk about those later. And then around the castle, about most of the places, about 3 squares deep or 4 squares deep maximum, is the main playing area. And you'll be getting missions, and you'll be traversing around this area. And as you traverse, the king's guards will come out of the castle to raise taxes or to fight you. If you're an enemy of the king, for example, I go in to kill the king, then you become an enemy of the king's guards will go straight for you. There are also other evil enemies that have been corrupted by rot, and you can fight them just by walking onto their square. And when you go into a fight, you'll end up having a dice game. So you throw your dice, but you can influence the dice by having cards. So you can have cards for your inventory. So you can have an extra sword. So your sword then will give you an extra sword dice, which is like an attack. Or you can have an inventory shield, which will give you a defense dice. And you can have cards which will affect your opponent as well, so they'll drop dice. So you're trying to balance this, or is this enemy good with the dice, or am I? And you want to dodge some enemies, and you want to fight some other enemies, because by defeating enemies, you'll gain prestige. And that element of getting closer to talking to the king and becoming his next in line. And then it's a random chance then. Once you take into consideration how many dice you've got, you throw your dice. Whoever's got the most swords will have a higher attack. Whoever's got the most shields will block. So say, for example, we're playing each other, and I have 5 swords, you've got 4 shields. My 5 swords will knock your 4 shields down, and then my extra 1 that's left over will hit you 1 HP down. And each character has got a different amount of HP, and the same back and forth. And that goes on all the time. I've played it quite a bit now, and it's wonderful that at first you think, oh, this is quite a small board, but then you realize the more you play it that it's just as big as it needs to be for you to have these encounters often enough, but not too often. And then there's the board itself, has got different tiles on it. And this is where the random generation comes in, which makes the game different every time you play. Seasons change, the tiles on the board are randomly generated every time. So mountains that were there before become forests, and forests can add elements of stealth. Mountains can add extra defense to your character. So if someone's attacking you in the mountains, you get a defense bonus. Towns are quite nice. If you go into a town, you sway that town to follow your clan, and after every day, they will pay you tax. But as soon as you leave the town and someone else goes in, they'll take over the town. And then obviously the king can send his guards in to take over the town as well. So town can get you gold, and then gold can buy you things like extra cards, extra health, extra this and that and the other. And there are other tiles on there which will damage you, and stone circles will heal you. And not only that, it's just like, oh my god, there's a lot going on already. You've also got the rot. So not only is the king being corrupted by rot, but every single player is as well. So at the end of every turn, your health will decrease by 1. And you can gain health by defeating enemies or spending gold to buy cards which will increase your health. But you can play with the rot, especially good if you are the bear clan, who have wonderful spirit, which is good for magic. So if you get around to having 5 rot, so that's 5 full days of gaining rot, you can turn the rot to your advantage in that certain perils that other players can place. So I get a magic card, and there are magic cards, and there are peril or trap cards. I can play a trap card anytime. So even if it's not my go, I can put a trap card on, say, a town I've got. So I put a trap card, so the next person to come onto the town has to play a game of chance to overcome that trap. And if they don't, they get hurt. Or if they do, then they get something out of it, like an extra heart or something. Plus, they get to carry on. So the Bear Clan within Magic, and then they get this 5 rot. They can use this to their advantage, that these evil banes that appear from dungeons, they won't attack you. Things like that. And it's just such a deep experience that there's so many systems going on, and there are so many different ways to actually win the game, or to go about winning the game, that you can let the Rabbit Clan, let the Rabbit Clan go off and talk to the king for a bit, okay, bang, kill the Rabbit Clan 2 times in a row, because when you die, you just reappear back at your starting point minus a prestige level. So you could right at the end of the game, you could knock the Rabbit Clan down a few prestige levels, and you could become the prestige leader. So there's all these things you got to balance all the time, and it really does play a fantastic board game, if you like board games, that is. It's got that fantasy style. Do you like board games, Greg? I know you like Risk.
I do. I never really get a chance to play them, and I've never really played anything as that really sounds as in-depth as this here, because it does sound like there's quite a lot of strategy in it.
I mean, if this was a real board game, you'd have so many cards and elements going on, it would be a nightmare to follow. Mm-hmm. As in a digital game, the game in the background is sorting out what's next, who's done that, who's done this. Downsides, unfortunately, is, and this is the biggest downside, and Darren balked at this, and it's kind of, this is unforgivable. But it's a game that you need to keep secret. For example, you can go into a forest at night and become unseen to the rest of the board, so nobody can see where you are. They call it stealth, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then you can move around the board so you can't be seen. Yeah. You've got cards. You've got cards that you need to keep hidden. You've got other things that you need. Your health and stats, you need to keep those hidden, because it gives you an advantage when you're fighting someone else. So because of keeping everything hidden, there's no local multiplayer, which is such a disappointment.
It really is, but it would also be difficult to play it locally and just make everybody turn away from the screen every time you want to make a move. That is bad. And
yeah, it's a shame.
I was going to say, it almost sounds like it would have been almost perfect for the Wii U or something, where you pass the gamepad around to do your move or whatever.
What could be handy is if you could have a pass the switch mode. You say you can't play, because it plays just as well on the Switch itself in handheld mode. I'm playing. You could tell the game I'm playing in pass the switch mode. When it's my go, I'm holding it. I pass it to my friend. I walk away. They could have got around it with that, and unfortunately, it's not there. Anyway,
it's weird. Whenever you're going into the biggest negative there, I thought he's gonna say there's no online play here, but it's no local play this time.
There is online play, so that obviously makes up for it. And they patched things in recently, because when I reviewed it, there was no touchscreen support. They patched that in, and touchscreen support now works perfectly. It's really good, because you're selecting cards and you want to swipe. It was a bit cumbersome before, flicking through it with the cursor, but now you can do it all with your fingers. It works perfectly. And they've also added missions online, and so the online experience is deep. However, I don't know if the game is out in Japan, and because of the time I've played it, whenever I have tried to connect online, I've just been waiting for a match. And you've got to have 4 players to start the online match. It won't let you, not with randoms. It won't let you do bots.
Yeah, and how long would a match be roughly?
45 minutes minimum.
Okay, that's gonna be really hard to get to get full games in, I think.
It's a heck of a commitment, yes. Even with friends, you're going to have to. And when you're online as well, there's no way you can save the game and come back to it later. Like in a single-player local game, you can the manual save is very good on it. You can save between moves and it'll save. There's no problem, and you can just put it down and pick it up later. But yeah, the online play, you can't save it. I don't know if it's different with friends, because you can set up a friend game, and as far as I can see, you can set up a friend game one-on-one and then add 2 computer players to make up the numbers.
I see. That's kind of disappointing. There's quite a few shortcomings there.
Yeah, lack of online interest. Yeah. And this is what we were talking earlier about Cosmoscope's game, Morphy's Law, having a lack of interest in the online play. This would be perfect with, like Diablo 3 as well, for cross-platform play, because it's out on other systems. It's out on Steam, so the PC community have apparently loved this, and I can understand why they love it. So it obviously would be far easier to find a game if it did have cross-platform play, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because I do want to play this game more.
Yeah, and me personally, I kind of miss playing board games with friends, like when I was growing up. Like I bought, it's probably not an amazing gamer, and I bought Monopoly Gamer last year, like the actual physical board game, the Mario one.
Yeah, that looks good.
It's still sealed. I haven't had a chance to play it.
Oh. And in the intermittent time, they've released the game, the Mario Kart one as well.
Yep, and I was actually looking at that thinking, maybe I'd probably have preferred the Mario Kart one. So I don't know if I can still take the sealed one back and swap it or whatever. But that does sound disappointing, and probably a couple of takeaways from it. Maybe is like the dice rolling thing does sound a little bit like Risk, the way you do battles and that. In
very
some ways.
Similar, yes. Yeah, very similar.
And the other thing is, anytime I'm playing a game with my brother, he calls me corrupt. So
well, you can actually be corrupt in this one with the rot. Brilliant.
But on board games, have you played any more Super Mario Party?
Yes, and that's what we can talk about now. Great stuff. Yes, I have. I've played some more. My son's nephew came across as well, so we've had 3 players. We've done some more of the River Party, and they love that because it's less competitive. But we've also had fun, and we've worked through the 3rd board, and it's the problems you had last time with there's basically on the board there's very little opportunity to get a star. On this 3rd board, which is 4 islands, and they're all fruit-based islands.
Yep.
One is, I can't remember, one's a watermelon, one's a pineapple. And I don't know, have you played this board?
Yes, in Partner Party, yes.
Basically, 2 of the islands are linked together well, not permanently, they can collapse, but it comes back. Bridges collapse and they can come back. So 2 are linked kind of permanently, and then if you want to go between the 2 pairs, you've got to land on 4 specific squares out of the many squares to get a warp pipe. Whether you want to go through that warp pipe or not is another thing. You land on that square, you're going through the warp pipe. Now if you're on the other island and the star is on the other pair, you've got very little chance of grabbing the star. So we went through a 10-turn go of that 3rd board, the island fruit one we called it, and we got 1 star between 3 of us and 1 computer player. Shocking.
Well, I have played that one in Partner Party, and I think me and my wife lost that one as well. The way it works in it is there's the 2, like the islands, like opposite each other, like corner wise, they're linked with pipes, and then like there's bridges to go across, and you have to either roll high enough to get across the bridge entirely, or if you land on the bridge, then there'll be there's a wee circle pops up with an arrow goes around, and if you land in the wrong spot, you're going to get knocked off the bridge and away somewhere else.
Oh, slightly different in the normal one where there's no arrow thing, but the sand bridge in the bottom one breaks after so many people walk across it, but that's random. It could happen the 2nd time, it could happen the 5th time. And the top one has got consecutive blue and event spaces, the green ones with the exclamation mark. And if you land on the exclamation mark, a giant blooper comes up and sends you right back to the beginning.
Yeah. See, in the partner one, there's I think it's the watermelon island. There was loads of wee treasures on it, and there was a star on it. And my wife was in the opposite corner. You have to land on a specific space to be able to get into the pipe to get into the pipe to go across to the watermelon one, and I think she must have been there from like turn 4 out of 10 or something. And like, it's one of those things, like, it's not like the regular board where like you will go past the space and like you've missed it. It's like you get to like go around and select your direction anytime, so you either need like an odd or an even number to be able to land on a specific space. It wasn't until turn 10 that she actually managed to get onto the pipe, and by that time obviously it was too late, so like I think we lost. And like quite a few of the partner games we have just lost, like we've won pretty much every mini game, and it's just like so much bad luck. And like obviously like still having issues with the bonus stars at the end. It's just, they seem like totally random and generally unfair.
And I playing that one, I think it was my son who won it, and he won it because of it was the computer who got that only single star on the board, and then my son got the 2 stars from the bonus. It's like, oh, right, you won.
Congratulations.
But I'm having fun when I'm playing it, you know? It's enjoyable.
Yeah, I certainly don't hate it, and like it's one of those games, like my wife doesn't really play games that often, but like over the last few days she keeps going, "Do you want to play some Mario Party?" And I'm like, yeah, of course. So we've done all the boards in the partner party. We've been down the River Survival one once. Still haven't really had a chance to try Toad's Rec Room, and haven't had a chance to do the challenge mode yet either, because despite doing like all the partner boards, and we've been through a couple of the boards, the normal Mario Party boards, I still haven't unlocked all the mini games yet, so I can't do the challenges.
Same here. It's Toads at the background, and he in that purple pink looking screen saying, "Hey, come back later when you've unlocked them all."
Yeah.
Okay, Toad. Yeah, I haven't unlocked them either. I have done the Rec Room, and I've played every game except the one which is the only one that you need 2 switches for, which is the banana matching one.
Yeah.
I thought you might need 2 switches for the little tank one as well, which is showed, but you can play that with or without. But when you play without, you can only do it in 2 players, 1v1. My son, and just like in the NES games, they love the baseball. And it's just, you know, a little pulley flick thing. It's like a little pachinko machine. It's a lovely little design thing. You know, you use the analog to do a slow ball or a fast ball, and then you just press A to hit the ball. Very, very simple. I recommend if you do play it, just do 3 innings. Otherwise it gets out again.
Yeah, the Wii baseball thing, I think it sounds kind of familiar. Like, did you ever play Wii U Party? Or Wii Party U? Yeah, I think there is one on there. I got that one free for something. It was one of the giveaways, yeah. Likewise, me too. Like, I think there is a Wii baseball thing in it.
Very similar.
Yeah, I do plan maybe try out some of those Rec Room things today. But if my wife is wanting to play it again later, I might try and get us to do one of the Mario Party boards, because like generally she probably likes like playing together rather than against each other, because quite a lot of the time, like in previous games we play, maybe I would win more often than not, and it's it's maybe
this
not as
one you
fun.
probably won't.
But, yeah.
Have you tried the rhythm games?
I've got the Wii Gem. I've done all. That's the first thing I got the gem for, actually.
Yeah, me too.
It didn't take that long. So I've got the gem for that, and I've got the gem for the partner party. I'm not really sure what happens when you get all of them.
Pat on the back. Unlocks the proper mode where it doesn't give you bonus stars. Who knows? We can hope.
Yeah. One thing I do, just a last point, like one thing I do kind of miss is, I remember like in the N64 Mario Party, certainly the first one, like every time you got stars as you were playing through, you would use them in the shop to unlock things. I kind of miss that in this one here. Like I kind of miss having been able to like buy stuff with the stars. You just obviously earn those points from something, and you can use them to like to buy stickers or something. It's not that compelling, really. I kind of wish there was something else you could buy with these stars or something.
I don't know what it is, Greg. There's a section in there as well where you can buy hints, and basically it's the instructions for the game.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I buying hints for the instructions? Well, I've got this huge amount of Mario party points, they called, don't they? Party points already. All right, I'll buy them all. Blah, 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 blah. And then there's a few blanked out sections. I've only got the first one, and then I don't know what those are for yet, but I'm hoping if I get a gem on something, it's going to open something maybe useful.
Yeah, seemingly like you kind of have to go around the wee like main hub area and like sometimes you'll talk to a character and then it'll just unlock something else.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you any indication that you need to go and talk to these people.
No. And even when you walk up to them, there's no, hey, press A to talk.
Yeah, I find that really weird.
And that's so weird, because Nintendo are always, you having an interaction with somebody, there's normally a little arrow above them and a on-screen prompt saying, press this button. There's nothing.
Yeah, there are a few wee weird design things, like even like doing the wee high fives just between. There's times like maybe like my wife's not concentrating and she's looking at her phone or something. It's like I'm pressing the button on her controller just to get the high five done or whatever.
Because you can just press the button. You don't have to waggle your Joy-Con.
Apart from that, good game. It's fun, and the mini games like are definitely quite strong.
Yes,
so kind of hoping for like DLC in the future. Maybe get a few more boards. Like even if they bring back some of the classic boards or something. Like if you pay,
I can see them definitely doing it. Yeah, and it needs to be done.
Yeah, whether it's free or if you have to pay a wee bit just to get some more boards, I guess I'd be down with that.
Cool.
Have you unlocked any characters?
Yes. Was Dry Bones unlocked from the beginning?
No, he's the same one I've unlocked.
I've unlocked Dry Bones, and once again, it didn't tell me I unlocked him. I had to go around the back to where they show, the big star is at the back where the gems get put, and he was standing there, no indication. I go, right there, Dry Bones. He's let me go and have a talk to him. And it was just by chance I went to talk to him, and it's, hey, let me join your party.
Yeah, exactly the same as me. And even when I done that, I wasn't sure if he was a character in it. Like from the start, because you know the way you talk to some orms and they will just replace one of the other characters that are in the party. And like again, the design choice, like whenever I first played, I didn't realize you could change the characters, like the computer controlled characters, until like you have to bring up a menu and then you can go in and change.
You can do it through a menu. See, I don't even know you can do it through a menu.
Yeah, I think if you speak to Toad at the start or something in the main hub area, you can like go to like change characters or something, and then that gives you the option to change whoever the computer character is. Yeah, that wasn't like shown anywhere. I guess we're gonna have to buy those hints, aren't we?
I bought them, I just haven't read them. Anyway, that's what we've been playing. Okay, so we're on to our big topic this week, and this one is great for Greg. It's great for us all. What absolutely irritates you in games? So it doesn't have to be any kind of mechanic, or it can be mechanics. It can just be the way games are sold. It can be anything you can think of. And I thought, what better way to do it than, Greg, you have one go, we'll talk about it, then I'll have one go, and we'll just pass it back and forth like a Mario Tennis game.
Yeah, we can do that. And like I'll also put it up on Discord as well, so we've got a few wee suggestions from some of our listeners as well, so we'll get to those at the end, I guess.
But you said your list was long, so I'm thinking your list may be a little longer than mine.
It could probably be a lot longer. And just actually on that, like, we sort of joke around about how negative I am about lots of things, and it's like I almost get scared that like people will think I just bash on things just for the sake of it, and it's like just being honest, about these things, and like I can't understand certain things. That's just me.
No, keep yourself, Greg. Keep to yourself. Don't keep to yourself at all. Just be yourself.
I suppose my first one, I'll just follow on from the bully discussion, I guess. I hate following waypoints on a huge map. I just like me personally, like I end up basically just watching this wee map in the corner rather than taking in the environment. So like usually like if I'm playing a game, like you'll sort of notice wee landmarks here and there, and it sort of gives you like, even like if you move house in like real life or something to somewhere you've never really, like, you're not familiar with, like within like a couple of weeks or something, you'll know where places are, and like you'll see like certain buildings and stuff, and you'll obviously come to know this place and you'll know where everything is. I find I just keep looking at the map so much that I'm not really absorbing the actual environment or taking in any of the locations and stuff or the landmarks. So like I never really become like involved with this area, so like I never really know it intimately. So yeah, that's one of my problems with like following waypoints.
Yeah, I found that with games like, because I only being a Nintendo gamer, on the Wii U as well, when I started playing Assassin's Creed, there's a lot of, not just escort, well, it is escort missions and stuff like that, but there's lots of, hey, you need to get here now, and then after that you need to go here, and then you need to go here and get a horse, and you're right, yeah, I should know Assassin's Creed 3, I should know Boston like the back of my hand, and I close my eyes, and I don't know how it connects, because, yeah, I'm looking at the map, and I'm looking at that arrow.
Yep.
Yes, very
glad I'm not alone.
Personally, when I came up with my list, I go through phases, and some maybe because I play games to one type of game too much, and then when I start playing it, I'm thinking, this mechanic is wonderful, and then after 6 games of that kind of thing, like recently we've had lots of Metroidvania games, you get fed up of it. So I find my interests in certain things waning and then having resurgences, and I put on my list stealth. To be honest, at the moment I'm looking forward to a stealth game. And like Mark of the Ninja Remastered, I'm thinking, that looks like it's doing stealth right as well. But there have been times in the past, and when I was playing, even though the game was good, when I was playing Deus Ex on the Wii U, there were certain stealth elements that really, really irritated me. Sections that you'd be caught right at the end of the section and have to do the entirety of that stealth run again. And a lot of games do it, I know.
Yeah, my most recent encounters with stealth was probably actually in Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus. To be honest, I'm not really sure it really worked that well in that game, because I find like I got caught pretty much every time. Like, I might be able to go and sneak up on a couple of characters and take them out, but like it's hard to tell where everyone is, and yeah, it was a bit of an issue there.
Have you tried, you don't have to do a post game, but you can go back into each mission again, and when you play first time, the whole levels are interconnected, but then they kind of clamp them down into more arena kind of size for these when you retraverse them, and you can get the codes basically off the elite soldiers, and those are the guys you need to sneak up on. That's another one that is so difficult to, unless you're lucky with their movements, you can be caught really easily.
Not to wheel and bully too much more, but there is a wee bit of stealth in there. Like I think it's like pre-fights and stuff for like teachers and stuff. If you're maybe doing something you're not supposed to be doing or whatever, like they'll come after you, or you might need to sneak into like somebody's locker or something. It's one of those where you'll see them on the map, like their wee cone will like turn red, they're chasing you down. If you just sprint far enough, like they'll just give up and stop chasing you, and it's just like they just forget about you. It's kind of silly, but I suppose it's a wee bit like that in the original Metal Gear Solid as well, which I love, where it's like if you go into a different section the wee bit you were in before, it's just finished. Like the soldiers might be after you, you go through a door, and that's it.
They've forgotten.
They're not coming after you anymore. Yep.
Okay, Greg, another one?
I've got quite a list here. I'm gonna pick another one which is a wee bit relevant, because we were talking about Super Mario Party there. I hate games that sort of like favour luck over skill. I say hate, like obviously Mario Party's maybe a wee bit of an exception there, because it's quite luck based in many ways, but there were certain, like I always remember back to like I think there was wee mini games in Mario Party 4. I think there's one where you've got like there's like a bomb in the background, like a big Bowser shaped bomb, and you've got all these like plungers on the front, and everybody takes a turn to go up and press one, and you might just be the unlucky one. Like, I don't find those sorts of things fun. Like, obviously there's like it's exciting is not the word. It's like there's a bit of tension there, like, oh, I hope it's not me that picks the wrong one, but like there's no skill involved in it.
And last week you were talking about the balloon one, where you have to blow the balloon up to a certain size, make it as big as possible before it bursts, and that kind of plays on the same thing as that, but with skill. There's an element of skill to it. Yeah. They do it much better.
Much better.
Completely understandable. I'm gonna go for quick time events. QTEs,
Ooh.
especially in the middle of a cutscene. When it's completely non-telegraphed, you're sitting back and you're relaxing, you're thinking, all right, let's watch this cutscene, and press X, I'm not even holding my controller, or my controller is not easily to get. Press X, and you know how fast some of these quick time events can come in. You got half a second to press it, and you're dead. And then so you're getting 2 for 1 there from me. Then you've got to watch the entire cutscene again. So
yeah. It's one of those things, like, if they give you an indication, right, you're going to need to stay focused here, that's fine, like, but if you're sitting back and you don't know that there's going to be a quick time event coming up, then it's like, it's not fair.
Games that did this recently to me were Platinum games. Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, and the wonderful 101 were all culprits in annoying me with quick time events that I would never get the first time, and sometimes not even the 4th time.
Funnily enough, you mentioned Bayonetta 2 there. When I played it back on the Wii U, I think I died like a good number of times because there's a bit of challenge in the game. When I was playing it back through on the Switch, same difficulty level and stuff, I did not die in that game once, apart from one quick time event that I didn't realise was coming. So I had sort of like, I wasn't really concentrating, and then all of a sudden I looked back at the screen and I was like, I'm dead. Why am I dead? That was the only time I died through that.
It just seems a little bit unforgivable. Anything else, Greg?
I will pick another one because you mentioned about having to rewatch cutscenes there again. This is like whenever you die after like a boss battle or something, you have to watch a whole cutscene again and no opportunity to skip it. That really irritates me. And sometimes like cutscenes are longer than others, you know.
No option to skip the cutscene. And not many games do it now, but a lot of games do it now where you can just press the A button and you can just fly through the cutscene. There are some old sticklers to the fact that you have to watch that cutscene in its entirety before dying at the boss again, and repeat.
I mean, like, cutscenes in general, actually, like, for, like, a long time, like, you couldn't, like, pause them or anything. Like, you can do in, like, quite a lot of games now. But there's even now, like, if there's a cutscene going on, like, I'm sort of wondering, like, can I press, like, the A button, or, like, if I press, like, the A button or plus or something, is it going to pause it, or is this going to skip it and I'm not going to be able to see it? I'm, like, just sitting there
in limbo. But then again, you might be caught off guard and you got a quick time event and right in the middle of the cutscene. You need to hand over. Anyway,
minefield.
My next one is, I love the beat 'em up genre, and I've gone into some context of talking about Wolverblade and other games like the Capcom beat 'em up bundle, and I really love those 2D side-scrolling beat 'em ups. What I don't like about them is the quarter munching aspect of some of the bosses, where they do these knockdown moves and they repeatedly do the knockdown moves, and there's no way you can there's no way you can dodge it, or it's extremely difficult to dodge. You're just going to get hit every single time they do this particular move. You know why it's there. It's there to eat your money. And I forgot about them. And I came across it playing Captain Commando from the Capcom beat 'em up bundle, and there's this beast boss. And he did this, he telegraphs the move 2 seconds before he does it, so it's easy. I know what's coming. He does this little spin for about a second, then he launches into this move, and I have no indication, I have no way I'm going to dodge it, and every single time he'd get me with it, and I must have died about 10 times just taking him down.
I suppose I maybe had a wee bit of a slight issue like that. Obviously you and Darren have got the Capcom beat 'em up bundle recently, and so I actually just took a wee night and played Final Fight 1 on the Game Boy Advance. I haven't played it for a while, just to see if it would sort of like entice me to buy the bundle or like put me off. It didn't really do either, to be honest. But do you know the guys, like, I think it's Andre they're called in it?
Yeah, big wrestler,
like, they knock you down.
Type guy,
yeah, they knock you down, and then like before you have time to get up, they end up doing a big slam on top of you as well. There was one time that I got knocked down, and then like there was 2 of them on the screen, and they both slammed me. It's just like,
there's this fight later on in the game where you go into a wrestling ring, and there's 4 of them on you at the same time, and you can just be juggled around that wrestling ring for quite some time until death happens. Yeah,
very frustrating. Okay, another one I have here is well, we're kind of talking about boss battles a wee bit there. Boss battles when you don't know that you're meant to lose.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the ones where you're fighting them for ages and like they beat you and you think, oh, I've lost. But like you're actually, it turns out you were meant to lose the fight all along. Whereas you've been going there like wasting all your health potions and stuff trying to win the fight.
I think I started Mega Man X quite a few times because you can't take down.
So silly.
Any other games you have in particular about that complaint?
I can't really think of any. I think Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, I think there was maybe a fight or two like that.
Yeah, you needed a fighter to learn a lesson.
Or I suppose on that as well, it's like fighting boss characters where you have like they've got their health bar, and whenever you get it down to the bottom, you think I've won the fight, and then it just regenerates. They've got a whole other big one. So you've been sort of managing your items and stuff with the health bar in mind. And then once it rises up again, it's like, I have no health items left to heal myself through this second one, so you're probably going to lose the second one and then have to start the whole fight again and then like rejuggle things.
True. That happens a lot in RPGs as well. Right, what do you think of this one, Greg? And it's not one that particularly annoys me until it actually happens in a particular manner. Rubber banding in racing games. It doesn't bother me most of the time, but when you ramp it up like Mario Kart, I'll take Mario Kart for example, Mario Kart 8 to a lesser degree, but the older Mario Karts especially, you're hammering the AI and they're obviously being rubber banded right behind you. Then they hit you with a red shell right before the line and you lose the race just because of one unlucky encounter. Now, if the opposite happened and you took a red shell at the beginning, because of the rubber banding, they would slow down those same racers and you've got more chance of winning then, which seems a bit unfair.
Yeah, for me, like rubber banding just like takes away the whole element of racing games where it's like split seconds. You need to be like just this wee bit quicker. You need to take your corners just that bit sharper than the people that are behind you or whatever, just to try and eke those just few wee extra milliseconds that are going to win you the race. Rubber banding just completely dismantles that notion. Yeah. Obviously you can understand it in Mario Party, but there are other games that do it as well. I can't think of any examples now, but it's annoying whenever like you feel like you're doing a lot better than somebody else and they're still just right behind you there. And like even like you talked about the earlier Mario Kart games, like Mario Kart 64, you go on Rainbow Road, you take that big shortcut, you jump off right at the start, you've cut off half the track. By the time you're hitting lap 3, they're back on your tail again.
Super racers. That's why I only play Mario Kart 8 online now. Anything else, Greg?
Yeah, again, I'm going to link it because we're talking about racing games there. Rewind feature.
I didn't have an issue with this as much as you. Carry on.
Well, to be honest, there aren't that many games I've played with this in it, and like obviously, like you have your like SNES Classic there, where you can rewind things. I haven't played my SNES Classic yet, so I don't really know about how it works entirely and stuff. But like we talked there about the spirit of racing games and just trying to you have to be on top of your game the whole time just to try and better your opposition. If you're doing like a course, and I think maybe it was one of the Forza games I played or something, you can like you crash, then you can rewind it a wee bit just to take that crash like it never happened and then carry on, take the corner better. Now, I understand what they're going for, because like if you're doing a big long race and you just make one wee mistake quite at the end, just right at the end, and you're gonna end up in like losing all your positions.
Tough luck, I say.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I understand they're trying to take away some of the frustration of doing that, but that's what racing games are. Like
I can't understand a rewind button in racing games. Yeah, but I praise the rewind feature for Mega Man. And just save states as well in general, to go into those as well. I would never finish the Mega Man games without them.
Yeah, see, in some ways I do like the save states. Like they helped me to get through Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the 3DS, but my problem was I just kept spamming it constantly. Every time I just do the tiniest wee section, save state. Like that game is like the amount of times I died in that game, even by spamming it this way, It's like, I can't understand how you would ever get through that game normally.
You played through it twice, because obviously when you get to the end, you got to go back to the beginning. Yeah, I did it on the Wii U Virtual Console as well, and I did spam the save states like crazy.
Yeah. Yes, it does help you get through this, but you're kind of destroying the spirit of the game, like the way it was originally intended to be played.
Yeah.
And the fact of jumping into the menu to load up the save state and stuff constantly it does disrupt things quite a lot.
Okay, I'm going to take the next one and I'm going to link it to Armello. No local multiplayer. I looked, I got a review code for Armello, and I looked at the game and thought, a digital board game, this is going to be brilliant. My son loves board games, I love board games. His cousin can come across, the three of us, even my wife might jump in on a board game because it's not so competitive and the game is telling you how to do things. Perfect. And then it's not there, and I was shaking my head, because even if, this is quite confusing, if you look at the eShop listing for Armello, it's got players 1 or more, and then it's got online players 1 to 4. It's like 1 or more. Okay, or maybe it is. No, nothing. It's 1. I don't know why they put the or more there, unless you're taking it in turns to be the same player. Anyway,
sitting holding hands on the sofa, just
yeah, no local multiplayer. And games that I felt that in is Splatoon 2 as well. I would love to sit down, not just local multiplayer. I can with my son now, I can put Mario Kart on, we can have local multiplayer, and then 2 of us can go online as well. There's that option there always. And I can understand it from a technical perspective of Splatoon 2, but it would be so much nicer to have Splatoon 2 running split screen, and then we can go online and just play a few games together.
Yeah, that would be really good. And like even the original Splatoon, like they had a wee multiplayer mode in it, but it wasn't like the proper Splatoon. It was just like shooting down balloons or something. Yeah. And like that trend of just local multiplayer not being in lots of games is really frustrating. Like I know, like my brother, for example, like I think he's bought quite a few like games on like the PS3, PS4 over the years, like racing games or whatever, and they're all like, we'll go, oh, do you want a race? And then it turns out, oh, it's just you take turns to do the race, or it's only online multiplayer. Yeah. It's like when you're growing up in like the N64, PS1 and stuff, you could play everything together. Yeah. Well, I felt like that anyway.
Yeah, but even, it takes a frame rate hit. Okay, I'll take it. Just let me have some more multiplayer games on my TV. My TV's big enough these days. I used to huddle around a 14-inch CRT TV, 4-player GoldenEye. Anyway.
We all did.
Anything else, Greg?
Plenty. I think my next one will be random rewards. It frustrates me when I suppose this is kind of true in like Rocket League, where if you buy, I haven't purchased any of the things, but like the events happen occasionally where you'll be able to like earn points to be able to buy like I think it's a decryptor it's called, and you can use that to open one of the loot crates or whatever it is to get one of the rewards in it. So there might be like a banner or like some decals for your car,
a hat,
and like you'll have this decryptor and you'll use it on this crate, and it just picks a random one out of the list that you get, and it might be something you don't want. Or
does it ever duplicate?
It does duplicate, yeah. And it's one of those things where like if I had spent money on this here on buying these like decryptors or whatever to open up these loot boxes, and if I keep spending money and I still don't get the thing I want, that's gonna drive me nuts. That's one of the reasons why I don't spend money on these sorts of things. But like even as things like, I remember back in Super Smash Bros. Melee or whatever way you want to pronounce it, like I think the way you could unlock was it the Wii trophies or something, it was like a wee sort of like gacha machine thing, and it gave you like a percentage chance of unlocking something like a character you didn't have, and like the more coins you put into it, like the better your chance would be. But like even towards the end of that, when the percentage is getting so small to unlock things, it's like so annoying because you're just getting the same trophies again and again and again.
Yeah, and loot boxes in general. They are the bane of society. Well, Belgium, fortunately, has banned loot boxes and that kind of gambling practice. Good. The sooner they disappear, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I just rather have a thing where Like if I'm buying something, I want to know what I'm getting exactly, or if I'm trying to unlock something from like one of those crates, like, oh, there's a banner I want. If I play it long enough to get enough points to obtain this here, then just let me buy it, you know?
My last large one is horrible AI, but specifically in terms of an escort mission. And I have a few, but they're not so bad. But I had one happen to me today, and it's like, oh, yeah, there we go. There it happens again. So, for example, Resident Evil 4, Ashley's there. You need to protect her. Resident Evil 4 is not such a bad example, but now and again, the AI NPC, non-player character, does something incredibly stupid, like walking in front of what you're just about to shoot, or running off in a direction you don't want them to, and their death then means playing that whole section again. Escort missions in general, I can understand them, and they add tension. Great. But when I lose because not of my skill, but because of the computer direction, then that really irritates me.
Just slightly off that there, The Last of Us was probably one of my favourite PS3 and PS4 games, but like the non-player characters in that there, really bizarre at times, because like you might be going through, like you have to be really, really quiet to go through a certain section, and you've got these other characters, like you hear their footsteps stumping and they're shouting things to each other, and like, oh, like the enemy characters can't hear this for some reason. It's so silly.
Okay, speed round. Anything else you want to quickly mention that annoys you, Greg?
One I've mentioned before, slide puzzles.
Oh yeah, this was mentioned by Vile Plume 2000, who's Dennis on a Discord server as well.
Mark DeRus, he also doesn't like it, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. Smeagol.
I'm going to call him Smeagol. Smeagol also said, really, really annoying one when it does crop up. Not often, thankfully. And most of it is due to ports from games that have come across from Xbox, because the button configuration is slightly different and the developers can't be bothered to change the button configuration around. And as we know, as Nintendo hardcore, we always use A to select and B to go back or cancel. It's when it's reversed. B to confirm and A to cancel.
It's such a simple fix. Like you sort of can't understand why they don't do it.
Yeah.
But obviously that's sort of like the layout on the PlayStation pads and the Xbox. But like even the PlayStation pad, like whenever that originally came out, it is the wrong way around, because the circle should be like the accept and then X to cancel.
The circle's in the right hand side, X is in the bottom, and it's still backward.
I do remember they did do that on like there's a few of the Konami games that came out, like I think maybe most of them on the PlayStation 1, like they had circle to confirm and then X to go back.
Stuck with Nintendo,
yeah, but like X on the PlayStation just seems to be like the natural button now for some reason.
So maybe it's Nintendo and us that need to change.
I don't think so, but like the Switch Joy-Con, like the nature of it kind of like muddies the water a wee bit as well, because like when you're playing like Mario Party, like I've been playing it with my wife or something, and she'll say, oh, what button am I supposed to press here? And I'll say A, because that's, in my head, that's the right button. And so she'll look down at the Joy-Con and press the A button, but obviously that's
is now at the top.
Switch, that's now the bottom. Yeah. So now I'm finding myself going, oh, the right button or the left button or whatever.
I've confused myself as well at the beginning when I had the Switch and I had to do this. But you have to remember where the buttons are. Smeagol also brought up time limits, and I can concur with this one, where I like to take a game at my own pace, and if I feel like I'm being rushed, I feel like I'm missing something, I'm going to miss a pickup or something, and just don't push me to this. And even games like Mario, the original Mario, okay, you the time limits are generous, but there's still a time limit.
Yeah, we're at the risk of this running on longer and longer. Just for some reason, whenever he's talked about taking your games at your own pace or whatever, it just reminded me for some reason about if you go down, like if you're in a game and then like the pathway splits or something, and maybe you'll go down one way, and that'll trigger a cutscene, and it's like that moves the story forward, and you can't go back and go down the other pathway.
That annoys
it's like
me.
that, especially if it's a game where like if you're actually trying to collect everything, and like you have to maybe like do the level again, or like maybe even restart the whole game or something.
Yeah, and there's no indication about which way, and that was another one of mine. It's kind of it's the shoddy game design in a way.
Yeah,
random paths. What else did Smeagol say? No documentation. He doesn't like that everything's gone digital, but now it's gone digital. Yes, we're missing manuals, but please put manuals somewhere in the pause menu.
Yeah, I can't remember what game it is, but I know there's been games I played where it's like I haven't been sure. Like maybe I haven't played it for a while or something, I forget how to do something, and I'll go into like the menu or whatever trying to find out what the buttons are, and you just can't find it.
He also brought up, and this might be Smeagol specific, games for Windows Live. He obviously doesn't like Windows Live. How about you, Greg?
Yeah, I don't play games on PC, like, so I don't really know the issue there. But I have seen quite a lot of complaints about Windows Live. People seem to prefer Steam.
Vile Plume says unnecessary difficulty spikes. Yeah, I can understand that, especially in RPGs where you then have to grind for another few hours to get past that level.
Yeah, I had those on my list as well, grinding. I was actually, I was in the shop last night and just happened to be talking to the guy behind the till. Said he was playing Xenoblade Chronicles, and I ended up saying about the grinding in the first one, it really did my head in at times. Yeah, that's definitely one of my issues.
Vile Plume again. Unfinished games that require a patch later on instead of the developer waiting to release a full good version. It happened with Armello. I could see the potential in the game and there were bits and pieces missing, and it's could have waited. The patch only took 2 weeks to come out. I think it was even a week and a half. You could have held it back 2 weeks just to make sure it was all in there, then release it. But you know,
I mean, it's easier for us to say, but I suppose they've got all these businessmen making all these decisions and stuff, and maybe you have to jump through hoops just to get something accepted to come out at a certain time or something. Then maybe you have to rip all that out and then
reapply
go through the process again. Yeah.
Anything else on your list, Greg?
Yes. Pushing in the left stick to run. Absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I don't understand that when an analog stick is there for a purpose. Mario 64 showed you how an analog stick works. Use it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really mind sometimes, if I'm having pressing a trigger or something to run, change your movement speed or whatever. That's fine, but actually pressing the left stick in to do it, it never felt good to me ever.
Yeah, just tilt the analog stick a little bit further, run faster.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Anyway.
Pretty easy.
Anything else?
Yes. Awkward controls as a result of attempting to make everything look a bit more realistic. They'd be playing some games, for some reason, the example on my head is maybe Heavy Rain on the PS3 or something, but there's loads of other examples. They're trying to get the characters to look like they move as realistically as possible, and the controls themselves just feel really awkward just to get them to turn the right way, or when you're playing Mario 64 or whatever, you press up, you go forward, you press down, you go backwards. It just feels great, but they can't have that because a character I that quickly 180 degrees or whatever, it just doesn't look right in this world, so the controls just end up becoming really cumbersome and stuff. I hate it.
I've got another quick one. Paying full price for a game and then it drops price rapidly after. And I've got better. Once I got a little bit of a backlog, 3 or 4 games, I don't need to buy this until a sale.
Yeah.
What else? In-game camera, does that bother you at all?
It can't do if it's rubbish.
Yeah, same here. People always mention Mario 64 and its in-game camera's awful. Never had a problem when I played it. Didn't play it again. So maybe if I went back now, I've played games that got better cameras, might be an issue. But I can't think of any games that have been really bad. My last one is long loading times. Completely breaks the immersion of any game I've had, especially if it's they're frequent enough that you've got a cutscene, then you've got a long loading section after the cutscene, and followed by another cutscene, then a loading screen, and into the game.
And that kind of feeds into something that Smeagol said as well. About you'll play some games and you won't be able to quickly restart the level.
Yeah.
There'll be no quick option that puts you out to the menu or whatever, and the loading screens sometimes have an effect on that there as well. If it takes a long time to load to get back in, really annoying.
Did I miss any of our listeners' suggestions?
I think Mark Duras, he mentioned ones about cartridge sizes where developers will release a game and the cartridge size maybe would be big enough to store the whole game, but you'll end up with like a big chunk to download as well.
Day one patches.
Your system.
Yeah. I'm amazed that Starlink is one of those games. It's a 12.7 gigabyte download from the eShop for the full game, and then they got it on cartridge, and you need a 6 gigabyte download to with the cartridge. It's like, oh come on, put it on a 16 gigabyte cartridge. Come on.
Yeah, they've cheaped out on that one, haven't they?
Yeah,
and Mark Jewis also mentioned about like DLC that's unlockables or whatever that only appear like for a certain amount of time, like during an event, and then like once that event's over, like you can't get them ever again. Like, obviously that entices you to play at those times, but maybe you're on holiday or that you just simply can't get the time to play at that time. Like I'd have an issue with that as well.
I've heard the Forza, I don't know if it's Horizon or the Forza games themselves kind of do that with unlockable cars, and it's like it's a time-based exclusive, and it's like you miss it. Oh, that could have been my favourite car, and missed it.
Yeah, but apart from that, I think we're pretty much through there. The only other one I had was about like inconsistent lengths between save points. Like you might have a game where like you're going through and like save point between save points maybe only playing for like 20 minutes or something before you save it, but then like the next one might take like an hour and a half or something between them, and it's like sometimes you're not sure, like, do I have time to actually get to the next save point? So you're really unsure. I remember it was the end of Yakuza 0 actually. I know I was at the last save point, so the next time I put it on I was like, right, I'm going to finish this here. But it was near bedtime. I thought, right, I'll probably not take that long. I think it must have been about 2 hours later or something before the game ended. It's just unbelievable.
I had that problem with Metroid Prime as well. The save, as long as you can get to one save point, you can always go back to it, but when you get to a section you have to go through to progress the story, there could be a hell of a lengthy section to do before you get to another save point.
Especially if you die.
I'll do it all again.
Although I'm dying to play that game again, but anyway.
That's great. Brings us to the end of our podcast this week, and Greg, it's been a pleasure again. Thank you for joining us. See you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nintendo Review Podcast. You can find this very podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and YouTube. Just search for the Nintendo Review Podcast. Don't forget to give us a review and ask us a question. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where you'll find great content such as news, reviews, and streams. Of course, you'll find us at nintendoreview.co.uk. And check out our Nintendo Review Discord channel for lively discussion, meetups, and in-game voice chat. Drop by and say hello. Podcast Extras! Podcast Extras! Hello, everybody. Wait, let me move my mic one more time. My mic is pointing in the wrong way. I got can you hear my wife laughing in the background? I'll have to add that as well. Put a little beat track down on the back.
Strap yourself in.
Greedy. Good. I'm going to cut this bit, Greg. I'm not going to talk about Dragalia Lost. Dire. Which is that. No point in crying over spilt milk.
Yeah. Oh. Flavor to carry out the mission, and then maybe that'll be the mission done, or you'll get even.
Carry on. I can cover over this by just muting my sound later, Greg. No problem. Just carry on.
The jank.
It is. Go on, Greg. What are you gonna say? What was it called? Whatever.
You can leave the listener question for another week. But do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Playing, I've forgotten.
Super Smash Brothers, Melee.
Smeagol.